So it wouldn't be a new set unless We Make Best made a royal deck list with the new cards. So let's get into Royal Boltyn. So with Royal Boltyn, we're just looking to abuse the power of cash in along with our other power cards in Lumina's Ascension, Spirit of War, or via the Vanguard. When you're able to do this, you're actually one of the fastest decks in the format, easily being able to dish out 30 plus damage turns, along with making it near impossible for our opponents to block if they run too many attack actions. And put on top of that Boltyn is actually one of the best decks at closing out games, thanks to our hero ability, making it so hard to not take chip damage. This is also due to Boltyn's crazy underrated late game cards in Celestial Cataclysm as a 1 card for 7 go again, or Beacon of Victory, either to just straight kill our opponent on the spot if we have enough soul, and if we don't, we can just grab a Lumina from our deck and that will guarantee to end the game. So overall, your game plan with this package is just set up your soul and power cards for huge 5 card hands as fast as possible. Then we just one shot the opponent or put him to a life total that our game enders will clean it up anyway. But now that we've talked about the plan with Royal Boltyn, there's actually some sideboard packages that we like to run to clean up our matchup spread a little bit. So with the Royal build, our lack of armor did make us weak to the disruptive decks like Bravo or Exalia for example, so we decided to set up a package for us to turn those matchups from auto lose into auto wins. With this package we bring in better blocking armor and trade our 2 blocks for D-reacts to shut down the opponent's disruption. We also bring in 2 beckoning lights to help us fight any type of fatigue plans the opponent may have as well. So this plan of taking our time to set up our soul and block efficiently became much more viable with the release of cards like Beaming Bravado, Light the Way, and Prayer of Bologna. These cards actually give Boltyn the ability to have powerful 2 to 3 card hands, letting him trade evenly with opponents while still setting up soul. And with this plan we continue to trade with the opponents, saving armor block for when we want to keep our 5 card hand, bomb the opponent, and abuse our late game strength to close the game out. We then round out our sideboard with extra cards for the wizard matchups and Bannerets of Protection, and we call it a day. But that's enough explaining of the packages. Let's go over our 2 gameplay videos showing off both of them right now. So firstly, let's go over the Royal package against this Dory. So we lost the die roll and they put us first, but we definitely don't mind going first. Just going to charge off of this Take Flight that I'm going to play, make it a courage from the Banneret. Opponent blocks with a card, and we're just going to save this courage for our next turn, so we pass it to them. Over on their turn, they swing in a Naked Dawnblade for 3 with 2 floating and 3 cards in hand. I decide not to block because my hand is decent and to negate their reprise triggers. Opponent throws an Overpower on it, buffing it to 7, so lucky we didn't block. They then crack their Refraction Bolters to give their sword go again, activate Brave Forge and swing in for 4, on hit get a counter. I don't really want to give them a counter here, so I'm just going to block with a card from hand and my arms piece. I could get blown out from Iron Song response, but I ain't a coward. Opponent goes to reactions and doesn't have it, so let's go. They Arsenal and pass to us. So on our turn we just have a simple 3 card hand of Take Flight, charge for 5, then we follow up with a Raydn on hit courage token. But opponent blocks the Take Flight for 5, sinking their Arsenal away, then just takes the 3 from Raydn, giving us the courage token. We Arsenal RV and pass it over. So over to them, they play a Steel Blade and swing in for 5 on hit draw. So here my opponent didn't give their weapon go again, and they aggressively sank with their crown last turn, so I'm getting the feeling that they have no go again here. Also, my hand is just cracked with the Tunic coming up next turn as well. So again, I'm going to say no blocks. Opponent can only puncture here. We take 8 down to 25, but they couldn't give it go again. They pass to us. So over to us, big call by us. We get to play a cash in, drawing 2 more cards. Then we use Tunic to play via the Vanguard. We charge some cards and swing in for 6 go again. Opponent blocks with their arm piece and a sink below for 6. We follow that up with a Raydn for 5, which the opponent double blocks, and then we follow that up with a Bolt of Courage for 5 on hit draw. Opponent only got 1 card in hand, so they take it down to 32. We draw into a Prayer, play to Illuminate for 6 on hit go to Soul. Opponent takes that as well down to 26. We Arsenal a Prayer and pass it over. And then on the opponent's turn, they just pitch a Singing Steel Blade that we predicted they had to Naked Dawnblade us for 3 again. We just take the 3 down to 22. They pass it back. On our turn, just going to play the Spirit of War, changing the Spirit of Irena onto the field. Opponent blocks for 3, but we have the Courageous for it to buff it up to 6. The opponent snaps Sink belows it to deny the token. Damn. We follow with the Raydn for 3, which they take, and then the Bolt for 2 on hit draw and courage token. Opponent takes that as well. I consider if we should snaps here, but I don't think there's any good draws that we can draw right here unless it's Lumina. So all good, we'll just save the courage token and save the snaps for a later turn. Pass it over. So Dory's turn, they play out a Steel Blade and a Glistening. Really sucks because my hand is kind of insane here, but it's just way too much value for me to block. So we block here to deny the counters, card draw and all of that, and they just pass back. So back to us, we're going to see the power of Prayer here. We pitch the yellow to Prayer, drawing and charging the second Beacon of Victory. We activate our arms and swing in for 6 with Raydn. On hit courage token with a beacon in our hand. Opponent puts a 3 block in front. We snap play beacon for 1, grabbing a Lumina and playing the Lumina in the reaction action step thanks to the Spirit of Arena. So opponent has to take 5 here, we gain 1 and charge a card while gaining an action point off of Lumina, and then we swing in again for 5 on hit, charge soul and gain 1. Opponent takes this as well, goes down to 11 and we're up to 24. Happy with that turn, we pass to them. Opponent swings in again, Naked Dawnblade for 3, 2 cards in hand. I'm calling the bluff once again, no blocks. They play a glint to give it go again, but no card draw because I've read them like a book. We take 3 down to 21. They swing in again for 3 with 1 floating. I have to think here for a bit because the chances that they have a 1 cost plus 3 buff in their hand is super high right now since we haven't seen any. So I'm thinking on how I want to block. I decide to block for 3 because I think I'm ahead enough that if they do have the buff, I can still race them to the finish with this Arsenal Spirit in my next turn. So I do that and they do have the buff. Unlucky. We take 3 down to 18. They get their counter, but now they don't have an Arsenal, so they pass to us. So everyone else just going to play this Bolt of Courage for 3 charged since the other cards need to be charged with yellows. Hopefully this can bait in some blocks. If not, I'll probs crack my snaps and follow up with some more damage. But opponent blocks, so nice, we get to take a card from them. We Arsenal the Spirit of War and pass it over. Over to them, they're on a 3 card hand now and they play Warrior's Valor into Sharpened Steel. And like the Giga Chat I am, I said snap, no blocks. Then I realized I was stupid as fuck, so I undid that and then I just blocked 10 with my equipment and my full hand. Don't be like me. But yeah, we give them the cards. Definitely better to save a million life here and make sure we take the counter off of their Dawnblade. This is way better. But all good, they pass to us. So on ours, we're just going to attack with Spirit of War, charging our Light of Soul on hit Courage. We do this to keep our opponent off a 4 card hand again, unless they want to give me the Courage token, but they block for 3 and we're happy with this, so we pass it over. So opponent's turn, they play a yellow Warrior's Valor and swing in for 5 on hit go again. They still have a card in hand and Tunic up, so I don't want to block the first swing in case they have an Iron Song to blow me out. So we take it down to 13. They follow up with Tunic into swing again, which we double block to continue to play around Iron Song. Nothing the opponent can have here, so they just Arsenal their last card and pass it to us. Now, over on ours, gonna show them how strong our late game cards are. In Boltyn with Celestial for 7 as a 1 card hand. Opponent blocks for 4 with a card and their arms piece. We Arsenal this Lumina to look for the finish next turn, pass it over. So over to them, they have a 4 card hand and they play a red Warrior's Valor, swinging in for 6 on hit go again. We have the kill hand here, so I'm going to say no blocks to everything, even if they kill me. They activate the Brave Forge, swing it in again for another 4 with 1 floating. I can die to any 1 cost buff here, but pray to Allah that they don't have it, and they didn't have it. So we take 4 down to 3 and they pass it to us. Now over on our turn, I play the world's fastest take flight charge banneret known to man, hitting them for 4 down to 4. I follow up with a Raydn here. Opponent blocks for 3. We double Lumina as a reaction, hitting them for 2, gaining 2 and charging twice. We swing in again after that for 5 on hit soul and gainer life. Opponent blocks with a card and Tunic, taking 1 down to 1, we gain 2 up to 7. And then last swing in, opponent is forced to double block with their last 2 cards in hand or die. So we do that, they give us their hand, we pass to them, they pass it straight back. It's back to our turn, our hand's looking really nice. Just going to swing in with this beaming for 4. Opponent double blocks it for 6, but I courageous steel hand it to get it over that blocks and then they die. GG. So that's it for the Royal package. Really fun way of playing Boltyn. But now let's get into our mid-range package for when we have to deal with a lot of disruption from our opponents. So here I'm up against a Bravo and I won the die roll, choosing to go first to set up a Soul, an Arsenal and not get dominated. So looking at my hand, I definitely want to Arsenal this V. So going to push this beacon away just to find it later in the game when I have more cards in Soul. And swinging with a beaming for 3, charging my Soul. Opponent takes 3 down to 37 and we pass it over. Opponent's turn, they pitch the tech plating and swing in with an E-strike, go again for 5. This is just raw damage, so I don't really care about it. I take 5 down to 35 and then they just follow up with Anathos for 6. Again, raw damage, I'm happy to trade. So I keep my hand, take 6 down to 29. No Arsenal from them, they pass. So my turn, gonna save this V for when I have 0 cost attack to end the chain off. So just gonna pitch the take flight, attacking for 3, go again, charging a Fate for Scene. They take the 3, I follow up with a Raydn for 3 as well, which they also take, down to 31. Then I use my last floating to swing in with a Valiant Thrust for 6, putting them down to 25. So nice turn, big damage, but I'm expecting something big back from them, we pass. Over on their turn, they snap Dominator Spinal and swing in for 9. I have the option here to de-react it, but my 2 card hand after that isn't very strong. So I'm happy to just give my equipment here and we look for a strong V turn instead. We do that by blocking 6 with our equipment to deny the crush effect. We still take 3 down to 26, but they pass to us. So over on our turn, just gonna follow the plan. We play our Via the Vanguard, charging 2 cards, swinging in for 5. They snap take 5 down to 20. We follow up with Raydn for 5, which they take again down to 15. Then we ended off with a Bolt of Courage for 4, which they quickly sink to deny the draw. So nice, we got some big damage through, but we just pass it to them. On theirs, they have a Dominated Starstruck for 10. So check my block math. We can never get our blocks to stop the crush effect, so I'm just gonna have to block for 3 here and save our equipment for another day. But we take 7 down to 19, and they pass to us. And then on ours, because of the Starstruck crush effect, we can't actually play anything, so just gonna Arsenal this Via the Vanguard and pass it back to them. So back to the Bravo here. Pressure's on them to be able to disrupt us again, otherwise we're gonna be too far ahead. But since they're not playing fast anymore, I have a really good feeling about this turn. And that feeling is confirmed when they just activate Tech Plating and swing in for 7 with an E-Strike. Like I said before, it's just raw damage that I'm happy to trade. So we snap take it down to 12. They Arsenal, pass to us. So really big that they didn't disrupt us here. But back to our turn for another V turn. Make sure we activate our arms before the V to not break the chain. But now we swing in for 5. They take it down to 10. Follow up with the snatch for 7. They block that for 4 and then sink it as well to cover the snatch. And then we end the chain with Raydn for 5 on hit Courage token. They give us the rest of their equipment here to prevent the on hit. So not bad. We took all their equipment and stripped some cards from them. We pass it to them. On their turn, they have a Dominated Spinal again. And once again, the equipment isn't going to stop the crush effect. So no need to block with our equipment. We just block 3 with the beaming in our hand, take 6 down to 12, and they pass it to us. So over on my turn, just going to attack for 4 with the Illuminate to present an on hit. They tank for a bit here before taking it down to 10 and giving me my 3rd soul. I Arsenal the Bolt of Courage and I pass. So Bravo's turn, they swing in for 11 with a Crippling Crush. No Dominate, so we can block this nicely with a 3 block, 1 piece of equipment, and the Fate for Scene for 8. We can bottom the Spirit from the Fate opt and take 3 down to 3, but we cover the crush effect. They pass it back. So our turn is a nice one. We just got to bolt first for the Boltyn effect and make a Courage. Opponent mustn't have any non-attacks, so they give us a card from hand and a piece of equipment to block the on-hit. So just going to snaps here to save some soul, and we swing in for 4 with Raydn, which they only block for 1 with their equipment and take it down to 3. Then we get to semi-blow them out here with a Celestial for 7 to end the chain with Boltyn's effect active. They have to give us 2 cards here for this, and they still take 2 damage down to 1, so we pass it over. On their turn, they're just going to swing in with Anathos with their last blue, easy Fate the Anathos, and here we get to see one of the many reasons why we run Fate over Sync, as we can set up a yellow on top of our deck for this prayer in our hand right now. But we do that, and then they pass to us. And so on ours, we know there's a yellow on top. Let's play the prayer, charge the yellow card that we just drew off of the prayer, then we swing in for 5 with Raydn, opponent double blocks, and we follow up with Illuminate for 4, which they have to double block again. So we time walk them, pass to them, and then they pass it back. So my turn again, we start off with a prayer, which shows a yellow bolt on top. So we draw and charge that, activate our arms, play Illumina, swing in for 6 on hit Courage, on hit gain 1, on hit die. Bravo has to 3 block it. We give it a go again and swing in for 4, which they can only block for 2 with their last card in hand. So they die. GG's. And so that's it for the gameplay. I'll leave a link to the deck list in the description like always. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already, and thank you for watching to the end. But we out. Peace.